This is a story of legendary tale of courage, sacrifice, and silent glory. In the heart of an ancient land where mist wrapped the hills like silk, there stood a mountain that no one dared to climb. The villagers called it the Whispering Mountain, for each night, when darkness fell, the wind carried voices that seemed to speak. No one knew from where they came. Some said they were the cries of lost travelers. Others believed the mountain housed a spirit, a forgotten king, cursed for eternity. And yet, one night, the whispers changed. They spoke a name. Ter. Ter. Ter was a young hunter, lean and sharp-eyed, who lived at the foot of that very mountain. He had always been restless, too brave for a small village, too hungry for meaning to settle for ordinary life. As he sat alone by his fire, sharpening his spear, the whisper drifted through the open window. It froze him where he sat. The flames flickered, casting strange shapes on the walls. He stepped outside, staring up at the towering shadow that loomed over the land. The wind howled once more, softer this time, almost pleading. Ter, come to me. He could not sleep that night, and by morning, he knew his life would never be the same. At dawn, the villagers gathered at the square, murmuring in fear. Elder Kano, the oldest man alive and keeper of the mountain's tales, raised his staff and spoke. The mountain is angry again, he said, voice rough as gravel. It has spoken a name. When the mountain calls you, it means one of two things, destiny, or death. Heads turned toward Ter. Whispers rippled through the crowd like ripples on a pond. Standing near him was Mara, the village herbalist and his closest friend. Her eyes were full of worry. Don't go, she whispered. Many before you have tried. The mountain never gives back what it takes. But Ter's gaze stayed fixed on the mist-shrouded peak. Maybe that's the point, he said softly. Maybe I don't want to be like everyone else who never tried. That evening, as the sun sank behind the trees, Mara came to his small hut with a leather pouch. Inside was a charm of carved bone and blue thread, protection, she said, from spirits that preyed on men's hearts. She helped him pack a few things, a bow, some dried meat, water. Ter, she said quietly, legends always sound beautiful, until you're the one living them. He smiled, brushed her cheek gently, and left without looking back. The mountain loomed before him like a sleeping god. The path was narrow and cold, twisting between cliffs that seemed alive with whispers. Turn back, foolish boy, you will join us soon. Still, Ter climbed. Step after step, hour after hour, his resolve only hardened. By nightfall, he reached a clearing where the wind grew strangely calm. A faint glimmer moved in the air, silver wings flashing in the moonlight. A hawk, unlike any he had seen before, landed on a nearby rock. Its feathers shimmered like metal, its eyes glowing faintly blue. Bold boy, said the hawk in a voice that was neither bird nor man. Or perhaps a foolish one. Ter froze. You speak. I do, the hawk replied, fluffing its feathers. I am the guardian of the mountain. Many have come before you, dreaming of glory. None returned. Then I will be the first, Ter said. The hawk tilted its head. 3 trials await you: fear, truth, and sacrifice. Fail even one, and your soul will belong to the mountain. Then, with a screech that echoed through the valley, it took flight, leading him upward. The first trial came as night fell. The mountain swallowed itself in fog so thick he could barely see his own hands. And within that fog, shadows moved. From the mist stepped faces, twisted, cruel, and familiar. The face of his father, calling him a failure. The bodies of the men who had never returned from the climb. The whisper of his own fears. You will die here, they said. You are not brave. You are afraid. Ter trembled. His bow slipped from his hand. He fell to his knees. But then he whispered to himself, I am not my fear. He closed his eyes, breathed deeply, and walked forward through the mist. Step by step, the voices faded, until all was silent. He had passed the first trial. The next morning, sunlight spilled through a crack in the rocks, leading him to a cave of ice and crystal. At its center stood a mirror of pure frozen water. When he looked into it, he did not see himself as he was, but as he wanted to be, tall, glorious, wearing a golden crown while crowds chanted his name. He reached toward the reflection, but his hand met cold glass. Then the reflection spoke. "You do not climb for the people," it said. "You climb for yourself." Ter stumbled back, ashamed. His heart twisted. Was that true? Had he risked everything just to be remembered? For a long moment, he stared at the image. Then he nodded slowly. "Yes," he whispered. "That's who I was, but not who I will be." The mirror cracked, then melted away, leaving only the sound of dripping water. Far below, in the village, Mara woke from a nightmare. She had seen flames swallowing the mountain and Ter screaming without a voice. She ran to Elder Kano's hut. "I saw him," she gasped. "He's dying up there." Elder Kano looked into the fire. "The path of destiny always burns," he said. "But not all fires destroy." By dusk, as Ter continued his climb, he heard a soft cry, the sound of a child. He followed it to a small clearing, where a little girl sat on a rock, barefoot, her eyes glowing faintly like moonlight. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "Neither should you," Ter replied. The girl smiled. "I live here. I'm part of the mountain." He knelt beside her. "What's your name?" "Luma," she said. "The mountain keeps me because no one ever frees it." Before he could ask more, she faded like mist, leaving only the echo of her voice. At last, Ter reached the summit. The air was thin, the sky glowing red with sunset. In the center stood a massive crystal, pulsing like a heart, ancient, alive. And beside it, half buried in stone, was the shape of a man, tall, crowned, his body carved entirely from rock. The Stone King opened his eyes. "So," he rumbled, voice shaking the ground, "another comes to challenge fate." Ter stepped forward. "I came to free you." "To free me," the king said, "you must pay the price. Give me your voice, your name, your song, your story. Only silence can break the curse." Ter hesitated. His dreams of glory, of songs sung about him, flashed through his mind. He had wanted to be remembered forever. Was he truly ready to be forgotten? Then he thought of Mara, of the children in the village who feared the mountain's whispers, of the generations who would live in peace if he succeeded. He took a breath, placed his hands on the glowing crystal, and nodded. Light exploded around him, pure, blinding light. The Stone King screamed as his stone cracked and crumbled into dust. When the light faded, the mountain was silent, and Ter could no longer speak. Days later, the villagers saw a figure stumbling down from the mist. It was Ter. His clothes were torn, his lips pale, but his eyes were alive. Mara ran to him, tears streaming. "Ter, you came back." He smiled weakly, but no sound came. He tried to speak, nothing. Then Elder Kano stepped forward, eyes wide. "The mountain no longer whispers," he said. Cheers filled the air. Bells rang. Children danced. But Ter stood silently among them, watching, a smile and a sadness on his face. That night, while the village celebrated, Ter sat alone by his fire. Mara joined him, placing her hand over his. "You may not have a voice," she said softly, "but legends don't need one to live." He smiled again, and for the first time, he was truly at peace. Time passed. The mountain stayed silent. Crops grew. Rivers flowed. Children were born without fear. Ter grew older, his hair silver as the hawk's feathers. He never spoke again, but his eyes still burned with quiet strength. One evening, as the sun bled gold across the sky, a familiar flutter of wings broke the silence. The silver hawk landed beside him. "Legends are louder than voices," it said gently. Ter looked up, smiled faintly, and nodded. The hawk spread its wings and disappeared into the setting sun. Years later, Mara became the elder of the village. On cool nights, she gathered the children around the fire to tell them stories. Once, she would say, a young man climbed the Whispering Mountain. He gave everything, even his voice, so the rest of us could live in peace. The children would listen in awe. What was his name? They always asked. Mara smiled. Some say it was Ter. Others say the mountain keeps his name. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. He lives in every quiet breeze, in every whisper that never came again. One cold night, Ter stood alone before the silent mountain. Before the silent mountain, the wind brushed against his face, gentle, warm. And for a moment, just before dawn, he heard a single whisper carried through the air. "Thank you." A tear slid down his cheek. He smiled, and the mountain remained forever silent. Generations later, the villagers would still tell the tale of a man who answered a whisper, faced 3 trials, and gave his voice to bring peace to his people. They called him the silent hero of the Whispering Mountain. A century later, a new child would look up at the mountain's calm peak, feeling the same tug in their heart, the same whisper of destiny. The mountain, though silent, still seemed alive. Watching, waiting. Answer, the story lived on, not through songs, not through statues, but through the quiet courage that echoed in every soul who heard it. Because some legends do not need words. They only need hearts brave enough to listen.